Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We've got a big shot in the house, Eric Morgan from Piedmont Airlines. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here.
I'm glad you're giving us some time because you are the president of one of our biggest companies here on the shore, Piedmont Airlines, based at the Salisbury Airport. And so many people don't know how big Piedmont is and how lucky we are to have Piedmont.
Well, we're glad to talk with you and them about that.
So everyone talks about how the airline industry right now is terrible, there's cancellations, there's all this negativity associated with it, but you've got a really positive story to tell in terms of your role here in the community, and you guys are doing a lot to try to address these post-pandemic problems that are in the industry.
Yeah. You know, the industry has certainly had its troubles. Labor shortages as a whole, pilot shortages in particular, weather all contribute to that in the summertime. For Piedmont, we have navigated what we call the COVID waters of the pandemic extremely well. Very proud of how our team has done. We've actually delivered some of our best performance over the last 2 to 3 years during this. And it's been because of, I think, a combination of some good decisions made and some really good work by our team.
And you guys recently have negotiated a new lease with the county. The county owns the airport, and you're a tenant out there. And the lease is going to give you the ability to do all kinds of great new things.
Well, we've got a number of good things going on. One of the big things that we're excited about in working with the county on is some workforce development projects for any business. And you know, if you're out and about, whether it's to restaurants, hotels, any business right now, you know, so many companies are hurting for employees. So as we look towards the future and the opportunities that we believe are out there, we're looking to partner with local communities, businesses, universities, et cetera, to develop the workforce of tomorrow. And we've got some exciting things going on here in Salisbury on that end.
And I think that's another thing that people don't know about, that if you live here, you're from here, there's a potential for you to have a job with Piedmont.
Oh, all kinds of potential. In basically any field within the aviation industry. If a person is interested in working at the airport, we're hiring at the airport. But if, for instance, a student in high school now is interested in a technical career and would like to be a maintenance technician or mechanic for us, there are lots of opportunities right now that we have a program that we refer to as our tuition assistance program, where we will help the student acquire their FAA license to be a certified mechanic. We hope longer term that there will be an opportunity for that student from local area here to go to school right here, possibly with UMES, and earn their AMT certificate right here on the shore, and we'll have a job for them here as well.
So planes come in here and the maintenance is performed here. The flights we have are just sort of a sideline to that thing, but the really key is the maintenance hub, and the hiring of mechanics is important. So tell me, you mentioned UMES, but University of Maryland Eastern Shore, you guys have an agreement now where you're going to have a mechanic training school.
It's not all together yet. The county, SWED, Dave Ryan and his team are working very hard.
Dave Ryan with Salisbury Wycomico Economic Development. I know, I just
Exactly.
saw they were at the county council to get a support letter.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. We are really excited about that. You know, again, as in other areas of our business, our ability to staff properly is right now the thing that limits our ability to provide more service to communities like Salisbury. Mechanics are one of those areas where we need more workforce development, and this program and what UMES is looking to do would benefit, we believe, the community, lots of businesses in the area, and certainly would be something we're very excited about partnering with them on, because it would benefit us.
And it's a key that we get this, or we're able to make it work, because we want to keep that maintenance hub here.
You're spot on there. So many communities right now across the country are losing air service. I mean, it's just, there is a significant shortage of pilots. I don't know what the exact number is, but there are hundreds of cities like Salisbury have lost a substantial amount of their service. I mean, we're running about 50% of the flights in Salisbury that we'd like to. The demand from our customers is there. We have airplanes parked that we'd like to be flying. We just don't have enough pilots to fly them. Similar situation for mechanics. We need more mechanics, but we need to grow them locally and try to be able to keep them locally, and this is what this program would help us do. But as far as for the community here and air service long term, one of the best things that can happen is to keep a strong maintenance presence here. Because where there is a maintenance base, the airline is much more likely to keep air service.
We have a long, great history with Piedmont and with Henson Airlines. Mr. Henson, when he moved here from Hagerstown a million years ago, believed in our community, believed in the airport. So Piedmont has really been a really important part of the entire community, and us understanding that that airport is an economic jewel has been really important. And it just seems like in the last 10 years or so, we're really understanding the importance of the airport again.
I would fully agree. I think what brought Mr. Henson here originally are the same things that keep us here today. Good economics, good cooperation with the local community, and a good workforce. And that last part is the one that right now we're having to invest in different ways. We've never before had to kind of go out and pursue our workforce of tomorrow the way we are now. But we're doing things that, I've been in this business about 40 years. The things that we're doing now to create opportunities and to lower barriers of entry for people who are interested in getting into aviation did not exist even a decade ago. So we have programs, whether it would be for dispatchers, whether it would be for mechanics, whether it's for pilots. There are programs where we are basically saying, look, let us, if you're interested in this field, let us help you find your pathway through the training process, through the certification process, into a job, into a career that you can make it a career for a life if you choose to do so.
I know I've always loved buses and trains and airplanes, and when I was in school, I was a journalism major, but I had a business minor in transportation. And I used to go to National Airport and sit around there all day just to watch the operations. I didn't want to be a pilot. I loved to see how things worked at the gates and just how the flights were all the same on different days. And all that logistics stuff just fascinated me. And you have sort of the same thing here, the dispatch center that's in the old David Ward building at the airport. I don't know that anyone can get to go in there, but it's amazing to see what these people are monitoring in terms of all the logistics that go on with all your different ramps all over the country.
Yeah, the OCC is what we refer to as our Operations Control Center. The OCC here at Salisbury controls Piedmont's operations across the country, so everything that we're operating on a daily basis. It's kind of the nerve center for our 9,000 employees that are scattered across the United States and for the jets that are flying up and down the East Coast and into the Midwest. That's where the daily, we would call it quarterbacking or decision making is done. It is a essential part of our daily business, and that's one of the reasons, you mentioned a moment ago, we're talking about workforce development. It's one of the reasons that we're doing this dispatch training program or initiative where we want to find local folks who are interested in making that a career. We will help them earn their certification because we believe if we can hire folks here who are interested in that work, who have the skill set to do it well, they're more likely to stay with us long term here.
Right. If you can hire local people for that, that's even more. I mean, we love drawing people from elsewhere, but we want the opportunity for locals to have great jobs.
Absolutely. That's a big part of what we're trying to do now. And again, what we're trying to engage other partners to help us do. We think it's good for our business. So from a selfish perspective, we're doing it for that reason, but we also think it's a really wonderful thing to do for the community and to give back to a community that's been very good to us.
And then I missed this news. You also opened a center up in the Northwood Industrial Park, which I think showed your commitment.
Yeah, that's a major investment for something. I'm going to be careful how I say this because on the one hand, it's a major investment in a facility, in equipment, in technology that we hope we don't have to use. However, we have options where we could reverse and use it as a primary and make something else a backup. But right now it is what we refer to as our BRCC, or our Backup Remote Control Center. Its purpose is to give us data redundancy and data resiliency with American Airlines. So if you remember, I don't know exactly how long ago it was when we had the major outage here on the shore in Salisbury when the damage to the lines and a lot of service went out. If we lose connectivity, all of a sudden we've lost our communications ability. It not only impacts all of the operations for Piedmont, but then it starts to impact Americans' operations as well because our planes can't move. So customers who are on those planes going to connect to American Airlines flights starts to create all kinds of problems. So American has made a major investment with all of their partners, including Piedmont, to stand up these BRCCs. And what we have there, in particular our ability there to partner with Maryland Broadband, we have the ability, if we lose a primary system or service line.
Right.
If we lose connectivity in our operations there at the Ward building, we have the ability to go there and stand up our operation and run it with optional data service lines. We have power supply there. We can actually shift from our servers, which are here in Salisbury, to run on servers that are in Dallas-Fort Worth. So we have a redundancy all the way around for our full system. Allows us to be able to I think, provide a more reliable product to our customers, but with a higher degree of confidence, say that we can work through most situations that would otherwise ground flights or cause us to have to cancel flights.
Yeah, that was amazing in terms of engineering because basically a car hit a utility pole in North Salisbury and suddenly Piedmont's not able to move planes around.
Exactly, yeah.
Not to
And not
mention
just in
all the
Salisbury.
other,
Right.
not to mention all the other industries that were affected by just that one thing.
Exactly. We lose that connectivity. We lose those servers.
Right.
We lose power. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you lose your phone.
Right.
Anymore, we're in big trouble.
It's just fascinating. One of the things that's new are the jets. And because their theme of this show is I'm wrong about everything, I thought the jets would never work for us. Everyone would complain about the noise and all that stuff, and I thought the Dash 8s were going to be, in our future forever. But the jets have been a great success. Everyone loves it.
The jets have been a great success, but not to take anything away from the Dash. It was an extremely good aircraft, an extremely efficient aircraft, and an extremely profitable aircraft. So it was a good member of our fleet for a long time. The jets have been very successful, and again, I'm very proud of the Piedmont team and what they've done. That's a big transition to go from being so many years as a turboprop operator operating a specific fleet, the de Havilland Dash 8. It was a huge change in technology for our maintenance folks. It was a huge change in flying for our pilots and for all of our employees. It just represented a significant shift in the way they did their jobs day to day. And the team has just made the adjustment extremely well. And in fact, they've handled that so well, we're now getting the opportunity to get more jets, and that's a real win for the Piedmont family, and I think for the community here in Salisbury.
Right. Tell me about that. Tell me about the new jets.
Well, back up for just a second. We talked again how difficult of a period the industry has been through since 2020 and with COVID and just the total revenue wipeout for us for a period of time. We had set a strategy for our team during that period. We called it COPE. How do we cope with COVID? And basically it was, look, first of all, we've lost so much revenue, we've got to control cost. Two, as we have the opportunity to build back our operation and get some customers back, we have to operate really well, really efficiently. We also knew that we had to try to do everything possible to protect jobs, and really proud of what Piedmont did in that period. We did not have any major furloughs. I think we're one of maybe the only, but certainly one of the few airlines that did not have a massive furlough during that period. We found a way with our labor groups to work through that and avoid it. And the last thing was, how do we earn back our customers? And so we put that strategy together. We communicated it to our team members, and they helped us deliver on it. As a result, over the last couple of years, as I mentioned in the beginning, Piedmont's had some really good performance. Our completion factors, our what we refer to as D0, or departure on time, or arrivals on time, all of those have been really high. That got recognized. American recognized that, and as a result of that, they're now investing in Piedmont and in the Piedmont team by giving us more jets to operate. And so we have just completed an agreement where we'll be getting an additional 15 aircraft, and that's a big challenge to take on. If we do that well, we believe there's other opportunities ahead.
That's going to be great news for everybody. Yeah,
it really is. Very exciting.
Now you're a leader. You have 10,000 employees, and it must be a difficult thing because your employees are spread out across the country. It's not like you can call a team meeting in the cafeteria and communicate everything to everybody at the same time. It must be really complicated to lead, and it's also such a diverse group in terms of skills. I mean, pilots have very different skills than mechanics, than the dispatchers, than the people on the ramps, than the ticket agents, whoever. I mean, it must be really difficult to understand everyone's job and lead them.
We prefer to call it fun. Yes, it has its challenges, but we have a really good team. And we grew up this way. I mean, we've never been what you would call a traditional business where everybody comes in at the same time, comes into a common building, has a common break area or a gathering room where you would do meetings. And we've always been a business that is scattered through communities across the country. So we grew up this way. This is normal to us. We have developed communications processes. We have a great corporate communications team that helps us get our messages out. But we have tools that we use when we need to bring groups together, or when we need to do conference calls, those types of things. We have daily processes for communication. So we work at it, but we have fun with it, and the team kind of rallies around that. I mean, we know that when decisions have to be made, you've got to do collaboration in a different kind of way. We can't simply go to the proverbial coffee cooler or the water cooler or the coffee pot and gather around that and talk. We've got to find other ways to get the group together and to share ideas and make decisions.
I want to talk about your experience that led to your leadership, and this is very stereotypical on my part, but when I think of the past leaders of Piedmont, Mr. Henson, Dick Henson, Steve Farrow, Lyle Hogg, they were all pilot guys, stoic, rock solid, calm pilot guys. But you weren't a pilot guy. You kind of came from the customer service area.
Yeah, you probably don't want me flying your airplane. So if you see me up there in the front of the aircraft getting ready to fly it, get off. Yeah. No, my path is different. Interestingly enough, though, I've been influenced by all the people that you talked about there. I was fortunate. This is my second kind of go-around here in Salisbury. When I came here the first time, Mr. Henson was still around. He wasn't in the daily leadership role. I think he's chairman emeritus or something at that point.
But his presence was felt, I'm sure.
His presence was felt, but also I was kind of the new guy in town at the time, and he liked telling stories, and I loved to listen. And so I learned things from Mr. Henson. It was a unique opportunity for a young person and a person aspiring to be a leader and to learn and grow. So that was pretty neat. The other folks that you've talked about, both of those gentlemen have had significant influence on me. We're great mentors, so both Steve and Lyle. But my path is different, and I've been in various aspects of the business. I've kind of seen the business from all sides, except out of the cockpit window. They don't let me up there, but,
right.
But that's okay. We have a great flight leadership team, and they take care of that. But yes, it was a different path, but I think the path probably positioned me well for the situation we're in now, where we've got to find a way to get together as a team and work through, really, the COVID crisis, and again, I refer to it as the revenue crisis as well, the pandemic, was something like this industry has never seen before. It was way worse than the previous crises that we thought at the time were the worst we had ever seen. This one has been very different. This one has lasted longer, and it's been more challenging, and it's required the team to think in new ways, creative ways, and to really pull together as a team. And that's been fun to watch and be a part of.
But also being part of the customer service thing. I imagine, again, a stereotype, these pilots, and I can hear Mr. Henson saying this, like, look, you sit back there, eat your peanuts, and I'm going to get you from point A to point B. That's really all that's going on here. But there's so much more going on, and you seem to understand that in terms of the personal relationship that you have with your customers.
Right. There is a lot going on, and each role is very important. We do focus on the pilots a lot, and for good reason. The skill set that they bring, what they are required to do on a daily basis, and the responsibility that they carry can't be overstated. But each other component of the business as well, whether it's the mechanics, it's the flight attendants, it's the agents, all of those functions are so important, and we got to be careful. We talk about all of those kind of what we call forward-facing or operational positions. The back office support teams are also essential. All those people that we just talked about. Let payroll go home one day without the paychecks being cut,
right.
And everybody will take notice then. So yeah, but the whole team it's essential for everybody to do their part.
To be a pilot, I guess their traditional sort of track was to go into the military, Air Force, Navy. Yeah. You retire after 20 years, you become a pilot. But it's not really that way anymore.
No, that's still a path, but there are multiple pathways, and we are creating new pathways, and we like to talk a lot about work that we're doing with other organizations, other entities to help lower barriers of entry, because it's not easy to get to be a commercial airline pilot. For a young aviator who wants to come to work for us, there's a significant amount of training and personal investment and time and learning that they have to put in to get to where we can even talk to them about a job. So what we're trying to do, and one of the things we're extremely proud of, is a program we call our Cadet Program, where we join up with those young aviators. We help them see the future, and then we help them understand the path, how to get there, and then we assist them, we fund them, we coach them, we mentor them, we guide them. And in essence, as they join us in that cadet program, when they successfully convince us that they have what it takes to be successful in this, and they make the commitment to us, and we make the commitment to them, they are entering a pathway where they won't need to interview again. They will come through the cadet program, come to Piedmont as a first officer, over a period of time, complete their certifications, qualifications, upgrade to captain, and then over a period of time, they will move right on from us into American Airlines. No more interviews. It's a guaranteed path to a future if they are interested in being a professional aviator. It's a great, great opportunity for young aviators.
What's the age? When would I enter something like that?
Well, a lot of pilots. In fact, I just talked to a young lady that's one of our captains now. She told me that she had her private pilot's license when she was 15, so she had a pilot's license before she was even driving. But typically, you're looking at kids in the late teens, early 20s that are interested in getting into the cadet program. But all ages, we have folks of all age groups that are entering the career field now because they're seeing it's made a lot of news lately. It's a good time to be a pilot, or if you have any interest in flying, it's a good time to pursue being a pilot.
So when I was a kid, my mother actually dated a pilot out at the airport, the old Allegheny.
Right.
And I used to get to go out there and fly to Baltimore and back, just for stuff to do. And it never occurred to me that I might have a career in that.
We're doing more to reach out to the next generation of aviation professionals than we ever have. And it's out of necessity because we need workers. But what we're finding is just so many high school students in particular, parents do not realize what opportunities are out there, not only for good careers, but for assistance to get there. I think some families, if kids are interested in, for instance, being a pilot, they just think that's pie in the sky, or it's too difficult.
Right.
We can never do that. Please, we want to talk to high school guidance counselors. We want to have opportunities to talk to community groups, to say, don't think that. Talk to us. Give us a chance to share our story. Talk about the opportunities that are in this industry. It's a really wonderful industry. I mean, for instance, my personal story, you told yours. I'm from West Virginia. I started working as a part-time agent on the ramp in West Virginia. I've had an opportunity to see things, go places, do things I would have never even dreamed of when I was in high school. And so it's a great industry. It has lots of opportunities. And whether a young person is interested in being a mechanic, they like to work with their hands, whether they'd love to fly airplanes, other skill sets. We've talked about the dispatchers. There's just so many careers within the aviation industry that we believe are not only interesting, fun, would be good careers, but we believe there's ways to get into those jobs the families and individuals may not be aware of, that we think, hey, let us talk to you about it. And right here on the Eastern Shore, just to kind of give a bit of a plug for UMES and their flight training program, they have a 4-year aviation program here. I think it's the only one in the state, but it's an opportunity. It's one of the best programs that we've seen as we look at different programs and work with schools. It's a great opportunity. If someone is interested in flying, that's a great place to go. Get your 4-year degree, earn your pilot's license, get into the Piedmont Cadet Program, and walk right into a career field that's going to carry you, through the rest of your life.
I guess when the pandemic hit, airlines cut back, and now the pandemic's gone, and they have a labor shortage. And it's way more complicated than the media portrays it, I'm sure. But were there a lot of lessons in terms of business about that?
Yes and no. I mean, it is more complicated. There's so many factors in what's going on with the pilot shortage. Again, the pandemic complicated everything about our lives, and it's certainly complicated this issue. The pilot shortage was there. It was brewing before the pandemic. Where the pandemic really hurt is that for a period of time, the training pipelines really slowed down. Things weren't happening. People weren't entering new fields. A lot of what happens for young pilots in training is one-on-one, face-to-face. So a lot of that stuff really got the brakes put on it during the pandemic. On the other end, because airlines lost so much revenue stream, significant layoffs did occur at a lot of companies. Now again, Piedmont was able to avoid that, thankfully, and it helped us in the recovery mode. But the industry did a lot of early out programs, plus the age 65 rule. Time didn't stop
Right.
during the pandemic, so the pilots and the baby boomer generation in particular continued to retire at a high rate. And so very quickly what happened was the numbers going out way exceeded the numbers coming in.
Right.
And we got ourselves kind of behind the proverbial 8-ball here. And it's not easy to overcome that. When you're talking about a flying career, when you're talking about building aviators, and in particular when you're talking about advancing people through the ranks as a first officer and then on to a captain, it's a and as it should be, it's a time-consuming, very specific process that they have to go through. And so you can't just say, hey, we want to speed the supply chain up now, and we'll make these pilots faster. It takes time, and so we're in that mode now. But we got behind, and a lot of things contributed to it, but there is a significant shortage now of pilots out there, particularly pilots who possess the level of skill sets, the amount of hours, the qualifications needed to be a 121 commercial pilot.
Right.
That's the big difference. The rules to become a 121 commercial pilot require a lot of effort, time to get to that point.
I get the sense that the decision makers in our community appreciate Piedmont, understand how important it is, but we need a great airport for you to do your job the best that you can.
Yeah.
What more do you need from the county, from us, from the community to make it better for Piedmont?
There's always things we would like as a business, and sure any business would say there's things that they would like to have and need. We have a great relationship with the airport. They've been very good to us. We work well with them. When we have specific needs in our operation or within our facilities, they've been a good partner, good team to work with. Long term, we'd like to see the airport continue to develop, and I think that's what the community wants to see as well. We watch it from a little bit of a different perspective because we see this in communities across the United States. And typically what we see, and if I look back over my own career, the years that I've been in this business and the various airports that I've worked in and around, communities that have invested in their airports, in their air service, it usually pays off in economic development for the community as a whole. And I would say that would probably be the same thing with Salisbury here. So we hope the community, the business leaders in the community, the politicians in the community, we hope that they will continue to be interested in investing in the airport and the airport's growth.
He's Eric Morgan. He's the president and CEO of Piedmont Airlines. We're thrilled that he had time to be with us here today. Eric, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.